Just somebody kidnapped Scott Pilgrim and faked his death.
You're joking. And would you stop swearing? We have customers. Fuck my life.
What did I just watch? What was that? Was that Scott Pilgrim? I don't remember Scott Pilgrim being like this. They said that this wouldn't be an adaptation. They were right. This is not an adaptation. I mean, it is, but it isn't. This might be the best version of Scott Pilgrim I have ever seen. And I'm a big fan of the movies, so yeah, very strange. I'm very interested. So we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna give you guys a little summary, but before I do, I wanna know what you thought of Scott Pilgrim episodes 1 and 2. Let me know in the comments. That's where I'm at right now. We'll be reviewing that in this episode. Note, there will be spoilers. I wanna know what you think of this adaptation so far and its differences from both the manga and the movie. Let me know what you're thinking, if you're liking it, if you're not liking it, and all that good stuff. All right, let's explain this, but I want to say before I jump in, just the fact that this is so otherworldly, yet so grounded, it's so brilliant, it left me just reeling. It might be the best animated series that I've watched. I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know that for sure, but I'm getting that vibe. It's very, very good. Episode 1 and 2. So first things first, we are introduced to Scott and the band that he plays with, the Sex Bob-ombs, all the bandmates in there. Scott starts dreaming about Ramona and he meets her at a party. He is basically told not to pursue Ramona by Julie Powers, who is her only friend apparently, but he of course decides to anyways, chancing a meeting with her by ordering a DVD off Netflix because he finds out that she works as a delivery person for Netflix delivering those DVDs, and he is successful. He gets the DVD delivered by Ramona. He decides to work up the courage to ask her if she's the girl from his dreams, and she basically offhandedly confirms that she is, saying that she rollerblades on a pretty sweet like subspace like stretch that is a few miles or it's a few miles, I think she says, that goes through like sort of Scott's dreamscape. She says, I don't know how much that is in kilometers because she is from the US. Scott asks her to hang out sometime and Ramona agrees, and they end up having their first date, which is maybe the most Toronto date I've ever seen. And near the end of their date, they get a little bit intimate back at Ramona's apartment, but both decide to just not go all the way. Ramona agrees to come watch Scott's band perform, but now Scott has a couple problems. Number one, he has to break up with his sort of not really girlfriend, Knives Chow, and number two, the League of Evil Exes is focused on getting to him and defeating him. Not that he knows about that at first, but he does find that out later, although it doesn't really seem to sink in for Scott. He goes to the show and he is challenged by Evil X number 1, Matthew Patel, and surprisingly, in this version, Matthew Patel wins. Matthew being sent there by the head of the League of Evil Exes, Gideon Graves. After Matthew wins, he attempts to use his victory as a reason for why him and Ramona should date again, but Ramona says, nah. Surprisingly, it's Scott that's turned into change here. Probably not enough change to get you right on the TTC based on the animation and what I saw there. And they end up having a funeral for him, where yes, they do put the change in the coffin. Pretty weird, but I also love how everyone just accepts all of this. We'll get into that more in a bit. At his funeral, his ex Envy Adams comes and performs, singing a song in his honor, now being a indie pop star herself that everyone loves. The Evil Exes are then called to convene, with even Gideon himself receiving an invitation to his own lair. When they meet, they realize that the meeting has been called by Matthew Patel, who, basically frustrated by the fact that him beating Scott didn't do anything and he didn't get Ramona back, decides he wants to change up the leadership, and so he challenges Gideon to a fight. Also surprisingly, Matthew beats Gideon, and then he ends up becoming the head of the League of Evil Exes. And he also gets all of Gideon's stuff. He gets his fortune, he gets his lair, he gets his, I'm assuming like his record companies, he gets everything. So Gideon is left hitting rock bottom, still has his life, but he has nothing to his name. Later that night, Ramona goes to sleep, and in her dreams, she hears Scott's voice, and she knows that Scott is still alive somehow. Dun dun dun! That's episode 1 and 2. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I like in this. I mean, one, I love the way that Toronto is shown in the show. They do such a good job of capturing the vibe. The date that they go on, like I said, is the most Toronto date you will ever see. It's just like they walk around, they go to a park, they swing on some swings, it snows, it's freezing, they go back to Ramona's apartment, and then they pretty much like immediately kind of get intimate, which is also maybe the most Toronto thing. I don't know. It's a very weird dating scene out here. I'm gonna say that. However, they decide to not sleep together. I was betting that they were going to, just based on, I mean, the fact that this isn't necessarily a one-for-one adaptation of anything, and based on the fact that it's Toronto. But that's not what happens. I also loved how in the beginning, I believe Toronto, they actually say Toronto, Ontario, Canada, but then when we go to New York in the US, it's just like New York, USA. Like, so I just love that we see tropes sort of reversed, where normally you would just be like Toronto, Canada, as opposed to actually getting mentions of the province. People don't usually talk about the fact that Toronto is in Ontario in bigger media, but that is where we are. We have provinces and the US has states. And so just to see that flip, where normally in any movie or any show that you watch, all of the US places, you get the state and then the country. And in Canada, it's just the major city and then it's in Canada somewhere. We don't know, because we don't know what provinces are. It just was really cool. And I just love how this show and this property often presents Toronto. It's very accurate, I think. I think as someone that lives in Toronto. I really loved what they did with Knives and Scott as well. So in the film, it's really creepy, like, I think, their relationship. But I like how here they've very firmly cemented that they've really only, like, held hands, and that's about it. And Scott also is basically just like, oh, Knives is kind of like just this cool girl that, like, follows me around, and I'm just kind of fine with it. Doesn't want to, like, define anything. Whereas Knives is, like, super invested in Scott, so to her, she's his girlfriend, but to him, Knives is kind of just like a girl he hangs out with. It just made it a lot less creepy to me. And I just think that dynamic really works for their personalities as well. The animation in this, we gotta talk about that. This is like some of the best animation I've seen. They knocked this animation out of the park. The show looks amazing, and it does a perfect job of straddling kind of this feeling of being grounded and this feeling of being sort of fantastical and otherworldly. And the script and everything is just so good. I feel like I know how they got all the voice actors back, or all the original actors from the movie back. I think they just sent everyone the script, and they're like, here's a script, okay? Like, if you just send them the script for the first episode even, that would be enough for me to come back, because it's so different, and it's so well written and fun. It's just such a little slice of life with fantasy, like, elements that are just accepted by everyone to be like, yeah, this person has vegan powers, it's whatever. It's just perfect. It's really perfect. I'm amazed. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was not expecting it to be this amazing. The music fits perfectly with everything. They really did a great job on selecting all of that, and it's so blended in well. The fact that this is also a property where I feel like music is so important to the story, when you nail that, that's great. So these first two episodes have really done animation and music well. And like I said, I just really love the atmosphere of the show so far. The fact that everything feels very real, but at the same time, it's like everything's happening in a weird way. Ramona is in Scott's dreams, and he just asks her, like, are you the girl from my dreams? And she's like, yeah, like, I just rollerblade in people's dreams, like, it is what it is. The fact that that is just a part of the reality, and everyone just accepts things that are so bizarre, it's chef's kiss. It's perfect. The plot twists. There's so many things they changed in this. The fact that Matthew Patel beats Scott. The fact that Gideon gets usurped. I don't know if that's a thing that happens in the manga, because I haven't read the manga. I want to get it and read it. I don't know if I should read it after I watch the show, or I don't know. But I hope all three of these are very different stories, because that would be so cool. And I just feel like Brian Lee O'Malley is constantly, like, I don't know, one-upping himself in terms of like how this story evolves and changes each time we return to it. It just gets better. I feel like this is the best it's been. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you disagree with me. But that's my main thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Oh, so good. I can't wait to see where we go next. I honestly don't know. And that's what makes me so excited. I'm going to try to do this probably in segments. So I'll probably be doing like either 2, 2, 2 or like, I don't know. I might do like 3 for my next one. We'll see. I think there's 8 episodes in total, 10 episodes in total. 8 episodes in total. So yeah, I might do like 2, 2, 2, 2, or I might do like 2, 3, 3. We'll see. I kind of just watched to the part where I was like, I gotta go to bed, but also like, okay, this is a good like cliffhanger to leave it on. I feel like every episode's gonna be a cliffhanger. It's gonna make me want to devour this series. But I'm gonna try to hold off so I can do, otherwise that one review is gonna be so long. I'm gonna have so many things to say. Well, friends, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you subscribe and check out all the cool stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye.